Hello, this is Berrin from Ragic. I'm just testing my microphone and I hope you're all doing well. I will start this webinar in a bit, and this is all about task automation with Ragic, and we are going to talk about how some certain tasks in your account are going to be automated in some different ways. So I am going to include a lot of little tips and tricks that you might use in your daily workflow that might not be related to the case I'm going to show over here, but might be transferable to what you're doing in your application. So in your database, you have quite a few different ways of setting things to become automatically, copied. For example, a lot of you guys probably already know the method of linking and loading, so that you can view all the related data, actually have that data populated into another sheet. But in this case, we're already one step above that, and I will talk about how to set some other things up to in order to update your data on your sheets. Um, we're going to talk about some of the action buttons here. So we do have custom action buttons that you can set and forget. This is going to be automating things that you already have in your workflow that you do often. And also we're going to talk a little bit about inventory management in this webinar. So I do hope this will be useful for all of the other viewers. I do take questions, so if you have any questions at any time, you can send me your question through the live chat, because this is a live YouTube video. So the live chat is either on the right side of your screen, or if you scroll down a little bit, right below the video on the right side of your screen. And I did zoom in, but if you have trouble following or you can't read anything, just let me know, because I am going to zoom out in some parts. I just zoomed in because I know that it looks tinier in the YouTube video, so hopefully this will help a little bit. And again, if you have any questions, just don't hesitate to let me know, because I will get back to you as soon as I can with an answer. Alright, this is more about the custom action buttons that we have added. Previously, these custom buttons were creatable, but you'd need to go to the back end and kind of manually write that down. We tried cutting down the time on doing that, or the learning curve basically is way simpler now, and I'm going to talk about how to do that. Alright, so here I actually created some demo sheets that we're going to work on. So basically I have a clients sheet where I have some customers, and they are part of an awards program or not. And we can also see their previous sales orders with a reference subtable. So this is pretty simple. Sophia doesn't want to be subscribed to an awards program, and therefore she has no information about the email deals or anything like that. So we do have different clients as well. And instead of manually actually having to do no for everything, I can actually create a way to change this all to be defaulted to no. So we're going to talk about that first in the design mode. For newer users, this might be something you haven't seen yet. So basically you can set a default value. So this changes according to my field type, and if it were free text or a numeric field, you can just type something in, but since mine is a selection field where I can select yes or no, which are the choices I added, I can select yes or no as the default value to be when I'm entering a new entry. So I assume you already know about the auto-generated field types and whatnot, so I'm not going to go through that unless someone asks me about it. So if you don't know about the auto-generated fields, then let me know. But I'm going to set all these to be defaulted to no. because we're assuming most of the customers at their first visit when they're ordering something are not going to be part of our rewards program. So actually, I might actually set the awards program to rewards instead as the field title. That makes more sense, I guess. Okay. Alright, so the default is no, which means that when I create a new customer, these rewards and everything related to that is going to be no in the first time. So let's create a new client called Gordon Ramsay, maybe, and then add an email for that and a random phone number. Okay, so you can see that I made things easier for me because I don't have to select things one by one when I'm creating a new client. But there might be something that I need to do if they subscribe to the rewards program, which is I will need to select yes for this, and emails will probably be defaulted to yes, and then SMS no. Let's say the SMS is opt-in and the email is opt-out. All right. So that took me some time, right? It's not very easy to, just select everything. And if I'm going to do this for all my customers when they sign up to the rewards program, let's change the name over here too so it would be more clearer. By the way, you can set different names on the listing page. Then that is different from the form page if you want to. Usually people like to shorten names on the listing page with it, which I find very nicer if you have more columns, but I always advise you to use less columns on a listing page. Alright, so if I want to make this action quite a few times for each person who are set to be signing up to our rewards program, then it's gonna be a little bit of a hassle. Therefore, we do have an action in order to set my reward program. I can actually set something that says sign up. Alright, so I want to do that with the update values custom button. This update values will let me update multiple fields at once. So whenever someone signs up, I want the email related fields to say yes and the SMS to say no. And that's going to cut down a lot of time for data entry for me. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that with the update values button, and you can see that I can add multiple fields in the same time. So let's select rewards and I'll do yes for this. So when they sign up to the rewards program, I want all the email, newsletter, the deals, the coupons, the account changes thing, and to be yes, and then the SMS deals will be no. So I'll just fill in these fields. Alright, so I'm going to create this button, and this will ask me to name my action button. So rewards program, join rewards or add to rewards, anything you need. And that will add it to my actions underneath the actions panel over here. And I will need to save this, and if you at any point want to edit that action that you created, you can go to the actions panel and select that one action. You can also have it being confirmed or executed when it's approved. Those are a little bit more advanced right now, so I'm just gonna skim through that, and I'm gonna save that change. So basically, if John Smith is going to join the rewards, I can just click this action button now on my form. So whenever you do create an action button, it's going to show up in the action panel over here, and this is by default open when you're looking at the form, so you don't really have to worry about opening that panel so that the users can see it. Basically, when I click on the button here, John's reward settings will be set with the values I have put here. So if John wanted less emails, I can actually also create another action with the update values button. So the rewards is still yes, and I'm not going to edit that. But let's say that he doesn't want the deals or coupons, but I still want to send him the newsletter. Okay, so coupons, and the SMS by default is opt out, so I'm not going to add that. Sorry, the SMS by default is opt in, so it's no. And I don't really want to modify his settings for the SMS deals, but let's say we want to still send him the newsletter and his account changes. So if he wants to opt out of emails and have less, I will not send him the deals or coupons, but I will still send him the newsletter that is once a month, for example, and the email account changes because that is important. So I'm going to create another button for this and say less emails. For example, if John, for example, mentions that he wants less emails in the store to one of my employees, then they can just click on this and opt him out of the email deals and coupons. So you can see that there are tons of actions that you could create with the update values button. And if there are a lot of the similar actions, like having to manually edit a lot of fields, this is going to be really useful. It is not limited to the selection fields like here, but you can create it for basically any type of field, and it's going to be quite useful for people who enter data all the time for similar kind of workflows in separate entries. Any questions so far? No? Alright, I'll be moving on to the next one we have, and this is going to be about our convert records. So basically, convert records, what it does is when you have something, I'll go on my sales order sheet to talk about this. So let's say John had done an order, and every time the order is for in-store, then the status would be complete. But if the order is for delivery, then let's say that I need to print a shipping packaging kind of slip. So let's say I need to print a shipping label for every time the sales is going to be delivered to the person. And that is going to actually take a lot of time if I want to create a label. So we can make that in a different type of way. So I am assuming that most of our older our users who have been with us longer would know about the multiple versions. For the multiple versions, you don't really have to create something with convert records. It can actually share the same data source. So you can do that, of course, but in convert records, it's usually useful if I want to actually post data that I don't really need to link. So a good example, I guess, would be a shipping label. Of course, you can also make this in the method with multiple versions, but let's just, for example's sake, create a new sheet for this. So we can give this a shipping ID with an auto-generated field for internal use. I'm actually going to use a date and numerical field for this. Let's add the month as well, actually. So that will be auto-generated from Ragic. Let's add a few fields here saying that it is being out for delivered, perhaps. And we can actually set this to new for newer shipping labels. Okay, so what we kind of want here is the information we need from our sales orders. Let's see what we need. Alright, so we probably need the client information and, well, probably their address too. So let's add their address to our, we don't have an address field here, so let's create one. And perhaps I want to move email to first and the address and then the phone. Okay, so let's say that Gordon is 12 Park Drive. So we have an address here, and on our sales orders, we can add the client's address that was linked before. So just gonna add that over there. So you know what I'm gonna do here is I want to hide the address unless the method of the purchase is for delivery. So I can do that for inform settings, rules. Sorry, foreign tools rules. So rules, I'm gonna add that the address. So if the status, sorry, not status, but method is delivery, then show the address. So otherwise, I don't really want the address to be shown. And let me save this. As you can see, I cannot see the address field right now. So if we go back and create a new order for Gordon that we were trying to do before, let's see. So his method is going to be delivery, and the status is going to be new. So I kind of want the status to be defaulted to new, actually. Sorry, new. There we go. Okay, and let's select some products for Gordon. So let's say he is ordering 20 green mugs and 15 blue mugs, and Ragic is calculating the total and tax and whatnot because I added a formula. Again, for users who have been with us for a while, you probably know how to do it already. If not, ask me what I did there. And okay. So the next thing is that I want to create a shipping label for this, right? And I probably need to create a product. So I want this to be filled from my sales order, and I don't necessarily need to show the amount of money he spent for this, but I do want to show the products. So I will add product name, and I'm not going to add the price. I am going to add the quantity. And I will need, since I'm shipping this, and it might be an international shipping, sorry about that. I will need to fill a value for the for the shipment, right? Because that's what is being asked. So merchandise value, total value is what I will need from that one sheet. And I probably need my client ID and not the ID, but their name and address. So I will add that to recipient name and recipient address. Alright, so these are what I need, and also probably the sales order number is what I need. Sales order number. And perhaps I want to add a little title over here describing that this is the contents of the delivery. And perhaps make that bold, and there you go. Okay, so this is what I want in my shipping label, and these are all independent fields, and it is not linked right now to anything. And the default is new over there. Okay, so right now this is not tied to anything on my database, and I actually want to populate that by just posting that value, these values from this sheet. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go to my change design button and say convert records over here. Sorry, I had to do that on the sales orders, not here. So okay, let's go to the sales orders and go to change design. From form tools, I want to convert this into a shipping label. So since I already saved that shipping label field, shipping label sheet design, I'm going to go here and select the proper fields for to fill in the values on my shipping label sheet. Alright, so the sales order number is going to fill the sales order number. And with this plus button, I'm just adding new fields to fill in. So here we need the recipient name is going to be my client's name. And the address is going to be my client's address. Alright, we have this, we have this. The sales order number is already filled. The product ID is going to be from the product ID over here. The product name is also going to be the product name over here on my subtable. And the quantity is what I need on the quantity. Alright, so and the next merchandise total value is my grand total over here. So that is what I'm going to declare when I'm sending the shipment, and I will create the convert record button from here to fill these fields in. Alright, so convert to shipping label is what I am naming my action button. You don't really have to, enter very long names. A very, specific descriptive name would work for your users, and anything that you can understand will work for you. Alright, so I'm gonna save that and let's test this out. So basically I didn't have no entries over here on my shipping labels, and if the method is delivery, I want the action to be clicked on here. So this is populating my shipping label now, so if I refresh the listing page, it will also show up over here. And basically that's what I was trying to do. I don't really want to have the delivery person to see like how much each line item was costing. Actually, I don't know why the quantity here is a monetary field. Let's fix that. So yeah, there's like 20 green mugs here and 15 blue mugs, and the total value is $310. And that's basically what I'm doing. And basically, if you want, I think you should be able to kind of modify how this is visible in our actions panel. So let's have a look at that through form settings and actions. So the convert for shipping label is available to anyone who has access to the sheet. So perhaps you only want the management to be able to do this. You can actually test this out and remove people from doing that action. You can also have an approval like this with different approval steps, and if, for example, your merchandiser or packer is going to say that this sales order is approved, we do have this in this inventory, then you can add that over here. So that is a little bit more advanced, but if you do have questions about doing that, you can always reach out to me. Alright, I hope this helped, and we're going to move on to a more complex structure right now. It's about inventory management, and basically what I want to do is to deduct the quantity of the items I have sold. When I generate a sales order and I actually have my products over here, and each product has, of course, their own entry, and I want to be able to deduct the ones that I sold in the sales orders from the inventory so that we can see if we need to order more or for more fine-tuned inventory control. So if we go in here, and so my structure right here is really simple. I only have a number of inventory that's available in the product sheet, but you can have a more complex structure if you want to. We do have an example in our ERP template where there is a whole inventory management system. So it all depends on how you want to keep your inventory. This morning I was talking to one of my customers who does inventory in batches. So even if it's the same product, the product might have different batches, and it's essentially the same product, but it might be manufactured in a different date. It might be manufactured by a different country. So they have different batches, batch numbers to take care of that. And to do that, you can actually have a more fine-tuned sub-product system. So in retail as well, I know that some products are very similar, but they all have their own SKU numbers that are tied to the SKU number of the product in general. So if that's what you do, then you want to separate those. If you have many inventory locations, then you can separate the inventory locations in a different sheet. Right now, mine is a very, very, very simplified version of inventory control. So do not design your inventory management system on based on what I'm doing here, but try designing, or thinking in Ragic terms. Try designing your database to fit what you are doing. So if you have any specific questions on what you are doing, please use the live chat box over there. It's on the right side of your screen. If you don't see it, it's a little below the video on the right side, but please ask me questions about that if you have very specific types of inventory management. All right, now that said, I want to be able to deduct the items I have sold from here, from my inventory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and change design. From form tools, I want to update a value on another sheet. So this is going to give me a little bit small interface. So this sales orders is supposed to update my products. And from here, we can actually select the quantity of the product and deduct it. So I'm going to select minus here, and I want to deduct from my inventory. When the field order, so I want the product ID to be matching the product ID when I'm doing this. Alright, and of course you can add more steps to this if you are deducting or adding or trying to equate things. But this one is a very simple way of doing it. I will click this button and I'm going to name name this action button saying update inventory. So you might have noticed, but Ragic created a new field in my database when I did that. So basically what this does is it will show you when I click that action button in a timestamp. If I did not have this, you can hide this if you want to, but if I did not have this, then it will be a little bit harder to track when that data was posted. So whenever I post that data by clicking the action button, this is going to be filled, and I'm going to know that that inventory was deducted at that time. And then if I ever needed to reverse that with a return or something, for example, if a sales order was returned, if it was not delivered, if it was for some reason didn't go out, or there was a mistake, or the customer sent it back, then I can always reverse it. Alright, so let's save that and test this out. I basically had a green mug, so let's hover on the green mug, and there was 512 in the inventory before, and the blue mug has 21, so there's going to be 1 remaining after I place this order. So let's say update inventory over here, and that was executed. So let's have a look at our blue mug again. So you can see that the inventory is now 1. So that is basically what I just did, is click on this button to update the values in my inventory. So you can actually see in my product sheet as well, the inventory was updated according to what I sold. So right now on my products, I also have the availability field because there is like 1 remaining, so the availability is yes. So a lot of people ask me if they can have conditional formulas about that. So if it were to say the inventory hits 0 or it cannot be below 0, then I have to have the availability no. So let's say if, so we always have to refer to the field header again. So A8, if A8 is larger than 1, then I want the value to be yes. Otherwise, I want the value to be no. Okay? So this is what I applied. And if I, for example, ever had a sales order that orders 1 blue mug, and the quantity is 1, and then I post it to the inventory, then the quantity is going to be updated on my product sheet for the blue mug, and this should turn no actually when I update that. So let's recalculate that formula. Let's see what I did wrong here. Oh, there we go. And we need to recalculate that again. Sorry, I wrote the formula wrong, guys. There you go. So now it's no, not available, and I'll need to create another, like, order to my vendor. So purchasing order. So we can actually apply the convert record that we just learned to create a purchasing order for the vendor. And I am going to create a new form. Vendor. Well, let's say this is generated by Ragic. You don't need the days for that. There you go. quantity of the product, and there we go. So maybe we're asking for prices. Alright, so shipping label, my products. I want to convert that product to a purchasing order. So form tools, convert records, and I want to select the purchase order now, and I would be able to create the same thing that we did before. So we are going to populate the purchase order sheet with the product sheet with the information we already had. So quantity we're going to fill in ourselves. The product name, product ID is already there. So okay, I have everything else. Oh, right, I did a design mistake there. Okay, let's refresh this page. Not FR. There we go. Purchase order. I guess we'll need to break the subtable up. So if you want to actually use like several products, then you can create a subtable, but in my case, I think, what's the best way of doing this? Right. So I'm going to do a little bit more advanced work right now. If I wanted to match the products that I don't really have much in my inventory, then I will probably need to order more, and I kind of want the vendor to match so that we can actually order from the same vendor. Okay, you know what? We can actually create a product ID, name, and quantity in a subtable again. Delete, delete. Well, I'm actually going to select this from my products. Alright, so the product ID, name, and there we go. What happened? Let's save and try doing that again. I can load products, product name. There we go. Okay, so okay, let's say that when my product is less than 20, then the availability becomes low, and then we can order more. So low or no, and let's actually create a formula for low. Okay, so we want the availability to become low if A8 is lower than 20. 20, then I want it to be low. Otherwise, I think I can use a different, more efficient formula for this. Let's actually have a look. So nesting conditional formulas. Should we use an array for this? Probably. So the best way would be to use Yeah, I think the lookup would be the best. So, okay, let's redo this lookup. A8. So I want to look at A8 and see if it's between 0 and 20. So that's going to be my, no, sorry. 0 and 5 would be between 0 and 5 would be no. So if it's less than 5, I don't want people to buy it because they usually buy more than 5, and if I don't have inventory, then that's bad, right? And let's say 20 is low, and then the higher is higher than 20 is yes. Okay, that's what I wanted. So let's do a single quote like the example. So we have no, low, and yes. So this is my formula for the lookup, and let's actually try this out. So I'm gonna apply this to all my products. So 218 is gonna be yes, 500 is gonna be yes, and 0 is no. So if I had like 6, then it should be low. There you go. Okay, so you can see it updates itself automatically. Alright, so back to the purchase order. I want the product ID to be available only if my product is low or no. So I don't want to be able to order more products that we have in the inventory that has a yes status. Alright, so in order to do that, we already linked and loaded the product ID and name. And we want to be able to do a dynamic filter. Now, a dynamic filter is when Ragic filters the values that you can be able to select in your selection fields with link and load. It also, I think, works in the select from other sheet field type, which is essentially what you do with the link and loads linked field. Okay, so I'm going to click the gear icon next to my products here. And this is going to give me some dynamic filter settings. So I only want to be able to select the vendors that is on this sheet. So if the vendor matches mine, and if the product availability is either no, or availability is, so I'm clicking on this pencil icon to be able to type my own. So I should be able to select only the ones with no or low. Okay, let me save this first and we'll have a look at to see if this is working properly. Alright, so for my product sheet, we know that the blue mug from Wholesale Depot is not available. And let's say that someone else ordered on my sales order sheet. Let's create a new order with Jane Doe. And she bought $215 of brown notebooks. And let's update the inventory. So that is going to be low as well. So the availability should update. Yeah, okay. Alright, so we should be able to only see the Wholesale Depot vendor, and if the availability is no or low. So I'm gonna select brown notebooks and blue mugs. We can actually add some things for here. So quantity that we're ordering and vendor price that they're going to fill up. And total. So we're tallying up the total here with the quantity times vendor price, which is C5. Again, on subtables as well, I'm referring to the field headers. And the vendor price is D5. And that should be my total. My tax is fixed at 13%. So that I won't need to really calculate that. I will make Ragic calculate the tax for me. So I'll actually have a subtotal here, which will be the total amount of, sorry, I accidentally clicked the formula thing here. E5. So the sum of E5's like entire column is going to be E5. I don't really need to write sum or anything there. This is just the perk of having subtables. The tax is going to be A10 times 0.13. And that we can save. And then the grand total is going to be subtotal plus tax. So it's A10 plus A11. And there we go. So if our vendor is, if we are filling in the quantity of here, like 100 and then 150, and then the vendor adds their price and whatnot, let's add vendor prices for them for this time. So this calculates automatically for me, and this time I can do the same thing to post into my inventory. So whenever my purchase order is delivered, I can actually do this from here or elsewhere, for example, in a goods received sheet. Then I can go in and from form tools, again, we need to update value on another sheet. And I am going to update my products sheet to see if I want to update. So the quantity is going to be added to the inventory on my products, and I would need the product ID to match. Okay, so that I'm going to create, and goods received. Alright, let's save that, and if I had ordered and received that order, I can click goods received, and this will update my products sheet for the inventory. So as you can see, the inventory should be 103 and 150 now. And actually the availability, I don't know why it's not automatically changing. This is quite a new feature to me as well, but we can actually recalculate that formula to apply the changes. So the availability should be yes now. This is actually something that I can talk to our developers about, so that they can actually trigger the availability to become yes somehow. I'm not sure if that's available in our actions. Let me have a quick look at the purchase order sheet and the action I created over there. So let's go to change design, form settings, and actions, and goods received. No, actually not. So yeah, that's something we could work on. But if you have ideas or like questions about using this, you can always let me know. Alright, so that's mostly the 3 new action button creation types for our custom buttons. And I hope that was useful. So again, to recap, the convert records is to post data from one place to another. You can also do that with multiple versions if you always have to post that one data to another. So the multiple versions actually uses one source of data and shows it in different sheets multiple times. So it's not actually showing you different versions of that data, but it's the same data that is shown in a different form. So if you edit a value on one version, the other version will also be updated according to whatever you type in there. The convert records is different. Convert records basically takes the value from one sheet and just puts it in the other. It kind of copies it. So it's not, if you changed something in the destination sheet, it would not be changed in the source sheet, not like the multiple versions. But in the convert records, it basically just copy pastes the values. You don't really have to do it all the time. If you need to generate several purchase orders from one product inventory entry, then convert records is more ideal. So if you need to do an action a lot more often than you would need to do, then that's quite useful. Update values is again when you need to update several fields at once in your one sheet. It can also be one field. It doesn't really have to be several, but it's very useful for several, especially if you have very common actions that you use. And that should be useful for people who have some template type of things, or if you have ways of doing things that have similar configurations, then the update values is going to be very useful. So the update value on another sheet, I forgot to mention since I gave the inventory example here, but this is only for numerical values. So it's very useful for updating inventory or kind of checking to see if you know you want to add things such as like students to a roster or something. Then this is very useful. All right, I hope this was very useful for you. If you have any questions, we have 10 more minutes, so I can answer anything about your database account. I think you need to be logged into YouTube in order to write anything in the live chat. But if you have any specific questions or non-specific questions or general other questions, I can kind of try to answer them in this limited amount of time we have. While waiting for questions, I'll say that I hope this has been really useful for you. I have an office hour webinar if you are still new to Ragic and you want to ask a lot of questions that are more basic or like about your database design. You can join in on next Wednesday on the 19th. It's going to be a Ragic office hour, so that is from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. EST. Again, it's an hour, and I usually do answer email questions or questions I received during the live chat in the Ragic office hour. And on the 25th, we have an event management event management webinar. So I'm going to be building an event management system on the 25th, and then going to create an example. But I do hope the form tools and the action buttons are useful for you. You can always test them out. If you're not really happy with the action you created, you can always edit it again from here, or well, you can edit the name and whatnot from here. If you want to edit the one that you already had, you can click on its name to kind of add more fields or change the action and how it works. All right, any questions, anyone? No? All right. Well, if you're again newer to Ragic and are just figuring things out, please don't hesitate to email us at support@ragic.com and describe what you're building. We always try pointing you to the right direction. And if you kind of want to describe what you're building as like planning, you don't have to think of things in Ragic terms. Just think of what your ideal workflow is. I know some of you are really struggling with keeping up with a lot of spreadsheets, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like that anymore. You can just tell us what you have in mind as a workflow, and this would be ideal and whatnot, and we can point you into the right direction and tell you what to look into, because there are quite a few different ways of linking here, and it might get a little bit confusing at first, but once you get to know how to design things with Ragic, and we point you to the right direction structure wise, then you can probably get started very easily. So if you have specific questions, again, email support@ragic.com. If you want, you can join in next week's webinar. I really welcome newcomer questions, and really, please don't hesitate to join and let me know if you are building something. We can work on a prototype next week during the webinar. I really like building prototypes according to questions. For example, once we tried figuring out an entire like booking system with some webinar attendees, and that was really fun. And those people were trying to, you know, build their own system, and two people were constantly giving me input on what they were trying to do, and I kind of modified the demo I was working on according to their feedback. So that is what we do in the Ragic office hour webinar, and that's going to be in the same time, so 1:30 p.m. EST next Wednesday on the 19th. So I really hope you can join if you're a newcomer. Even if you're a veteran Ragic user, then I would very much welcome your questions about new features or things that you want to add or remove from your database. All right, thank you all for joining today, and I really enjoyed talking about these new custom action buttons. I will try to make short videos for those in our guide. I know we don't really have much guides about this functionality yet. It's mostly text, but if you have any questions about it, just shoot us an email and we'll try replying soon. All right, thank you all so much for joining, and I do hope you have a great day. Bye all. Bye.